My free time is now spent in WoW. I hate you.
You're welcome.
I'm juggling 4 characters. I got the damn app on my cell phone. I'm doing missions on my cell phone at work, in the car. This virus is spread.
Yes.
It's like the plague. It's like Walking Dead. I've been bitten. I'm a zombie now. It's all your fault. So.
And today brought to you by Natural Light, which is like,
Yeah.
Oh man.
People
Buddy,
are calling me up. I'm talking about WoW now again. I sound like a crack addict. I'm at restaurants now talking about WoW, and then you can tell the difference between people who know WoW and don't, because the WoW people like turn around like, WoW, he's talking about WoW, and other people are like, what the hell are these motherfuckers talking about?
Back with a new show deep in the basement. Professionalism turned off, screw the ad placement. Skit comedy trolling, plate full of dough. People get offended, you don't get the show.
Alright, so we're back with another show. I'm Jailer Rock with Randy. What's up?
What's up, bro?
Alright, so people always have regrets, man. I mean, from, let's see, to dates. Even people have regrets with kids, even though people don't admit that shit. Unless they drunk. A lot of people have regrets when it comes to social media, because a lot of times the brain doesn't get to the fingers. I don't know how that works, because you actually have to have the mental capacity to type. But with social media, people seem to type out shit, and then it's like, oh, wait, what the hell did I just type? And then they have to go back and make all these edits. And then you have people that say they got hacked. It's funny because in the election now, you have all these kind of things coming up. And like with Anthony Weiner, this whole thing started with him coming out saying that in the beginning, when he got caught up in that whole scandal about being caught sexting and texting, he started out by saying, oh, my account got hacked. And that's what everyone says when they get caught, when they send out pictures and tweets that has sexual content. They're always hacked. And bringing it back to gaming, that's what happened with No Man's Skies. Hello Games sent out a tweet saying that No Man's Sky was a mistake. It was a mistake, man. They should have left it in the condom, I guess, man, or something, man.
So this is the thing that was funny, that like in looking at this, it made me sit there and think. So if you sit there and you look at it, there are indie companies out there that do amazing games, and there's indie games out there, indie game companies that do shit games. And I'm looking at you, Digital Homicide. Oh yeah, rest in peace, y'all. Yeah, they're no more. But anyways, which they brought that upon themselves to begin with. But anyways, one of the biggest things, if you sit there and you look at it, like these indie groups that do these amazing games, like you have these tiny teams of people that put out these games that rival some like AAA games that are out there. And the biggest thing that I've noticed with like indie developers that can happen and all that, which is possibly like, and it's a true thing of like, if you look at Hello Games itself, is they had very, very, very big like expectations of like, this is what we want to do, and they could have done that had they been given the time. Where I really think the biggest like speed bump where they hit into is when Sony stepped forward and say like, hey, we like your idea for this game, hey, that looks amazing, we're gonna publish it for you. And as we know what can happen with these big things, and I basically look at it as look at Respawn Entertainment with the original Titanfall. EA put that game out, Sony put out No Man's Sky. They probably went to Hello Games and said, when can we see this game come out? What's the earliest you could project this? And they sat there and said, well, blah is the date or whatever. It's like basically like as if I'm developing a game and you're publishing it for me, and you tell me, when can I expect to see this? And I say, well, Mr. LaRock, we should have a working version of the game in 8 months. And you sat there and turn around and go, cool. And next day you release a press release saying, guess what? This game's coming out in 8 months. And I have a feeling that's what they kind of did at Sony, where they wanted to like get that jump of like, we got to have a firm release date because, you know, hey, business and numbers, and they've got to have an idea how much they're going to sell and shit. And it put the pressure on Hello Games to release the game. And as anybody that knows with programming, they could have sat there and said, hey, it'll be ready in a year. And you could have stuff that's working perfectly fine for 6 months. And you start in programming, you introduce this new feature into the program. Now, guess what? That feature that you had working for 6 months, now that's broken. Now we got to go back and fix what the hell was wrong with this thing. And I have a feeling that was like the big thing is they had to keep going back because they started adding in new things to the game. And then, of course, what ends up happening is it starts breaking other shit. And, like, Sony's like, hey, so we got to release this game. So, like, come on, you know. And they'll only allow them to push it back so much, which they did do with the first announcement of the pushback and all that. But it's one of those things that it's sad because you could see, like, what No Man's Sky could become. And I feel it will eventually get out there. But it's going to take time. And it was just so funny to see, like, you know, they released the game. It got really bad reviews. They went in the dark. They haven't said anything. And then all of a sudden you get this mysterious tweet of like, hey, it was a mistake. And then the email of, well, hey, so, and like trying to cover it up. And then another email saying, oh, no, hey, our account got hacked, you know?
Right. But that's the thing. In the investigations that people are doing, they're saying that it came from them. You know, and then later on, then they're saying, oh, well, maybe, you know, as a disgruntled employee. And it's like, that just adds more. I mean, it's, come on, look, you know, you're going to have the internet detectives come out. I mean, when you have so much hate for a game in the beginning, that's the first part. So, I mean, whether it's a disgruntled employee or not, I mean, it's like, come on. I mean, when you have something like this come out, I don't even know why, even if you're a disgruntled employee, why go on there and say something like that? Like, even if you're disappointed with whatever happened, whether you were rushed for a release or something like that, why put something like that? I mean, if anything, why not come out and say, hey, I was rushed by one of the publishers or something like that? Why just say it was a mistake? I mean, come on. What was that going to do? Is that going to give you any goodwill with anybody? Is that going to help you with your next game? What was the end game here?
And that's the funny thing is, like, you know, they always sit there and say, like, don't burn your bridges and all that. This motherfucker not only burned the bridge, he fucking soaked the bridge in gasoline and fucking says, I'm burning this motherfucker that no one's coming back from this.
True, he burned the river. He took all the water out of the river under the bridge and then replaced it with gasoline. So the bridge and the river is on fire.
He fucking just sat there and like, all right, we're going to soak this bridge in gasoline. We're going to coat the river with gas. And, oh, by the way, let's drop a firebomb on this motherfucker because we're going to make sure we scorch this bitch so nobody can come back. Because that's like, I mean, I can understand from a point of view of if it is a disgruntled employee, like, yeah, if you're getting rushed to do something and all that, you want it to come out a certain way. And they're pretty much telling you, like, no, we need to get something out there. Like, it sucks. You know, and I mean, if there was one thing that I sat there and I saw that it gives you like the real look of what it's like to work at one of these companies that makes games, is when Halo 3, I want to say, came out, that they had that Master Chief edition that it was like the Master Chief helmet and it had the little behind the scenes DVD of them making Halo. Yo, when you sit there and you look at these people like programming the game, holy shit, these fucking poor people, you know? And it was funny because at the time, Bungie, they worked out of basically an office building that was a warehouse that they converted into an office building. So when they show them looking around the office, like, you realize there is not a single window on the wall. And what's really funny is at one point they're following around one of like the lead programmers, and he's like, yeah, they're like, the cameraman says like, hey, I noticed there's no like windows in here, and he's like, yeah, we never know what time of day it is. And the guy walks by an emergency exit. Opens the door and looks outside. It's like, oh look, the sun's out. Like, it goes to show you these people get so concentrated on their work, like they just are like, you can almost see the fucking like the head like guy is sitting at the front with a whip going program. Psst,
well, no,
program!
it's true, and that's why, like, even my short time in California with Nexon, I got to talk to people, and that's one of the great things, you know, with Obsolete Gamers, being able to talk to these people, and you know, you got to see that that's why these people have, you know, like the candy and the drinks and the soda, because you're locked in there. And like Nexon isn't a bunker, you know, there's lots of windows and open spaces and stuff, but I mean, this is a company that's been around for a long time.
Yeah.
But if you start off new, yeah, they don't have the money for all this. You're trying to grow and get everything started, and hopefully you either get you're successful and then you have all this money so you can expand, or you get purchased by a bigger company and then you get the money. But before that, no. and once you're released and you're in your waiting stage, then you're sitting there drinking and you're hoping, you're praying that you make something out of yourself. But until then, you don't know. Yeah. And on the other side of that, a lot of times people will say, okay, how do you make these mistakes with social media? You got to understand, if you live at home and let's say you have control over your computer, then you may think to yourself, okay, I don't get it. This is a company. How's it happen? But you got to understand, some of these places still don't understand social media. You might think, okay, they have a social media department, but it may be just this office with like 3-4 computers and it's still just wide open. It's not like locked down like, you know, Mission Impossible where it's like key codes and everything like that.
One guy runs the whole thing.
It could be 6 computers and all of them are logged into different social media accounts, and someone could just walk in there and log in. It's not locked down. So I could definitely see where someone could log in, type something, and walk right out, unless you know that person's been fired and they're being escorted out the building already. Anyone could log in and do it. So I could believe the disgruntled part.
That's
but
that.
Still,
oh, look, Joe went to lunch. I'm gonna write something.
Yeah, maybe this guy got chewed out for something. Maybe he's not fired, but maybe he got chewed out for something. This guy's like, fuck it, I got something for the ass.
Like, fuck it, I'm gonna start a flame war on this motherfucker.
You know, I think that what they need to implement is, like, you know, on the news, especially when they do satellite remotes, they usually have, I forgot how many seconds, maybe it's 3 to 5 seconds buffer, and they do that just in case something happens. It's not really so much for the reporter. It's usually if someone runs up and says like some fucked up shit. You know, if they run up and just you start yelling curse words or racial shit or something like that. And so they have a few seconds so they can blurb it or cut it out. They're going to need something like that for like businesses. I mean, not for everybody, but they're going to need something where if you someone comes and types some shit, you maybe have a half hour and it sends emails to someone on a list and they're like, wait, we sure we want this shit out? And they're like, no, eject that motherfucker before it goes out on your Twitter. It's like a Twitter buffer.
There you go.
Whoever comes up with that is gonna be, you know, rich, man. Because just being able to, because I mean, this happened in the NBA. You know, they had a thing like during the playoffs last year where someone wrote, you know, something during the playoffs, and then that person got fired because it's like, why'd you write that? I mean, you can't have instant stuff because people get emotional. They type it, it's out there, and you could delete it in 10 seconds. Someone's like hitting the freaking print screen as soon as you do it, because
Google Archive, baby, Google Archive.
Right. You're not deleting that. Like, no, man, you ain't getting rid of that shit.
And like the thing that you sit there and you say, like, you know, with the candy and all that, with all these guys, it's like, you know, look at case in point, fucking Google. Everyone's like, oh, wow, look at the Google headquarters and blah, blah, it's so beautiful. They give them all the options. Motherfucker, they got those options because they don't want them to fucking leave the building and start working. That's the reason why they have a laundromat built in. They have places where they can sleep. Motherfucker, they're sleeping at work.
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's how you got to think about it, because you got to look at it like this, all right? If you know, I guess you parse it like this, all right? You know that you're going to work, and if you live far away, let's say most people, they say the commute is anywhere between 30 to 50 minutes, which is crazy. So think about that for a minute. You wake up, you drive 30, 50 minutes to work. You work 9 hours, because let's say you work 8 hours, you get an hour for lunch. I know some people don't get that, but most people get an hour. So that's 9 hours. Then you're talking about an hour back and forth. So that's 11 hours out of your day. And then you want to sleep at least 8 hours. Most people don't even get that. But just think about that out of your whole day. So in the gaming industry, you have deadlines, so you're working sometimes way more than that, 10 hours, 12 hours a day. So
they sat there and they said that like with non-crunch times, they're working 60 hours a week.
Right.
Crunch times, they're working like 80 hours a week, you know?
Yeah. Now, granted, yeah, you're at a desk and everything. So some people who are working construction or, you know, in the food industry, service industry, they're like, boo-hoo, what the fuck you're crying about? And I get that argument. Yeah. But still, regardless, if you're there working and you're racking your brain and you don't know if you're going to get laid off of this project or not, it's still stressful. You still get tired even if you're sitting on your ass. Mm-hmm. But regardless, so you're there for all these hours. So you're still tired. You're still locked into this job. So what they think to themselves is, these are young people too. You know, they bring you in young, right out of high school, right out of college. So they think to themselves, all right, how am I going to keep these people around? Yeah, they're young. They want to be in the gaming industry, but you still want to keep good people. So they keep you with treats. They're like, here, sugar. Sugar keeps you hyped. Here's Red Bull. Here's soda. Here's sweet coffee.
Shoot, there's some places that they'll give them booze and everything.
Yeah, if you're old enough, like at Nexon downstairs, they had an agreement with the place. They'd give you vouchers, bro. They're like, here, you've done a good job. Here's a voucher for a free drink. Oh, you've done good again. Here's another voucher. During our meetings, they'd bring beer. I've worked at places like Blue Cross, American Express, things like that. I worked at Alienware. None of those places we could drink beer during our meetings. At Nexon, we had beer. We had cases of beer on ice during our meetings. I was like, holy shit, that's fucking awesome. But you realize why. And then they had sleeping corners in the area where you could go, like a beanbag, and you'd see like the developer. Like I was in like customer service tech support, so I'm not a developer. But I'm seeing like the developers, and you'd see them go over and like pass out in the beanbag. And I'm like, holy shit. I'd ask him, I'm like, man, how long was that guy working? He's like, oh, he's working on so-and-so. And he just passed out on the beanbag. And you're like, oh. And you realize that's what it has to be for some of these projects.
And that's the thing is like you say, if you sit there and you look at it, using my example of Google, like they're one of the best ones that they have these like full beds and sleeping areas and all that shit. Like you say, most fucking places, they'll got a fucking beanbag on the floor. You're fucking see these people in their office chairs just fucking pass the fuck out. You know, like Google like pampers their employees. And like you said, because of the commute, like me, honestly, if I was a developer or whatever, and I had to like really work in it, and I'm a half hour, let's say 45 minutes away from my job, yeah, I'd rather fucking stay at my job if I can stay there, sleep there, rest there, whatever, you know, and just stay there, because it's more beneficial for me to do that. Because like you say, you're going to be wasting an hour and a half a day driving, an hour and a half, when I could spend that time there being more productive and all that, you know? And that's an hour extra of sleep I could get by staying there and shit. Like, it's amazing, some of these things, like just some of the pressure that these people do. But it was like the thing that really made me laugh about the whole like thing that happened was, and it always happens when you have something like this happen, where you have some sort of like, you know, social media like blurb or something that happens, is that whole freak out of like, holy crap, we got to put this fire out. And then they sit there and it's like the ping pong of going back and forth of like, okay, we'll release this. Okay, that's not going to work. We got to release something else. All right, we were hacked, you know? And it's just so funny. The whole, like, you can see the whole like PR department going, okay, calm down, we need to fix this. And you have that one guy like circa like South Park in the background, just running around with his arms up, like just trying to figure out how they can put this fire out.
Well, yeah, I mean, you got to think about it. With all the things that we talk about, you have these teams all working together, and everybody's in on it. When you come to these meetings, you have, like you said, PR, customer service, tech support, social media, all these different departments, accounting, marketing. And if something goes wrong, everyone's freaking out because everyone gets hit. I mean, yeah, it may be the actual development team that gets hurt the most, especially if some of their particular skills are tied to that project. But I mean, everyone's going to take a hit. And if it's especially a signature game, or if the company is smaller and they really depended on that game for their viability in the future, they're freaking out. And sometimes some people don't handle it well. Everyone's not going to come together and be like, well, here, we're a good team. No, some people are pointing fingers like, you fucked up. No, you fucked up. And it's like, if you don't have that coming together moment to be a real team, then that's where everything falls apart, especially in the case where someone admits, oh, somebody went rogue and they did this within the company. Yeah, then you start doing an inquisition, and you're like, all right.
And that's I think the biggest thing, that when it comes to these companies, that it's like, that's where it comes down to, how well do you treat your employees?
Yes.
Because if you treat them like shit and the shit hits the fan, guess what? They're gonna be like, fuck you, and walk out the door. And that guy was probably the one that started the whole thing. Like, they don't give a rat's ass, and they're just like, F this place and let it burn in flames, and I don't care. But if you, like you said, if the employees get treated very well and they're like very well taken care of, they're going to be like, all right, we have a situation, let's work together to get this resolved. And then they're able to do that. And it's like, and I feel, I kind of feel bad for Hello Games, because No Man's Sky was a very ambitious game. And if the game that was shown and was promised would have come out, man, that thing would have blown the fuck up. And you still have, like I said, you still have those like really, really hardcore fans, which love the game, and there's people that hate the game, and then you have the like insane fanboys, which are like the like the Hare Krishnas that are like, oh, it is God's gift on earth. They need to just like kill those all off, like, those people off and stuff. But it's such a like, it's a shame. Like, I like the game. Like I said when we talked about it before, like, it is such a like zen-like experience to play that game for me. It is the most calming game I've ever played. It is so great to just put the headphones on and just run around a planet, and you hear the like really nice music, and you see all these weird fucking creatures that have like lizard bodies with a squirrel face running around, and you feed them metal and they're happy. It is the most strangest game to just like be zen-like, but it's almost like you're fucking like, oh my god, I can't even put words to it. It's like you're fucking sitting there and you're like just like, it is such a like a relief. I will honestly tell you, I will play Overwatch and get aggravated the fuck out of that game, and then play fucking No Man's Sky for 10 minutes, and I feel perfectly fine.
Speaking of a zen-like moment, ever since that you guys have poisoned me with the crack of WoW, I've been in my reverse zen, because now I'm playing World of Warcraft. I'm juggling 4 characters. I'm playing the missions on the freaking app. Meanwhile, after your knee surgery, you've been playing WoW. I know that you had a story to tell us about that. So
yeah. So funny thing is, basically, I found out that I had a torn meniscus when I went to the doctor. Now, mind you, I've had this thing since I was 15 years old. Never bothered me why. I lived freaking pretty much in Florida the whole time, and with the consistent humidity, never really felt it. The thing that's funny about this is the fact that, and mind you, I'm telling you this story, and at the same time, I'm fucking running the goddamn Legion app to do
that's what crack addicts do.
Yeah. So go to the doctor, like finally get it all set up and everything, go in there, and he basically tells me like, hey, yeah, you got a torn meniscus. We're going to have to operate. I'm like, yeah, well, I figured that. So literally like leading up to the surgery, I had a pre-operation appointment. Walk in there. The freaking anesthesiologist is like, all right, so this is how it's going to go down. He's like, we're basically going to keep you in a half asleep, half awake type of a anesthesia, and we're going to give you a nerve block. So you're basically not going to feel anything from like the middle of your calf of your thigh down. And I'm like, okay. And they're like, and then we're going to sit there and we're going to put like a little cathode that's going to like drip feed you this nerve block for like the next 3 days, which is usually like when the worst of the pain is and this and that. And I like looked at him like, y'all can fucking do that shit? Like I didn't even know they could do that. He's like, yeah, and then like in 3 days you just pull the little cathode out and put a Band-Aid over the hole and you're good. And I'm like, all right, cool, whatever. The day of my surgery, like, let me tell you, I'm a grown-ass man, but the thought of me being half asleep, half awake while my doctor was going to be fucking around with a machine on my knee had me fucking terrified. I was
Shit, me
shitting
too.
gold bricks. And I told my wife, I'm like, dude, if they honestly give me the option or whatever, because the guy said it's like, oh, if you look like you're uncomfortable, if you look like you're feeling anything, we're gonna knock you out. I told my wife, I'm like, honestly, if they give me the option, I'm gonna tell them, knock me the fuck out.
Just go in there and start screaming. No, no.
I told her, I said, I'm gonna just tell them like, yo, honestly, I don't feel comfortable. Can y'all just knock me out? So the actual anesthesiologist comes in, we're getting prepped. I'm fucking sitting there shitting bricks. They put the IV in me and this and that. He's like, oh, did you have like your your preoperative thing? I said, oh yeah. And he's like, and what did they tell you? I said, well, this is what they told me, XYZ. He's like, yeah, I don't think we're gonna do the nerve block on you. He's like, we normally only do like nerve blocks for like replacement knee surgeries, like heavy duty knee surgeries, And I'm like, oh, okay. He's like, yeah, but unless the doctor says it, and he's like, which I don't think he will. He's like, yours is we're just repairing the ligament and that. He says you should be fine afterwards. I'm like, okay. And he's like, and yeah, we're just gonna knock you out. He's like, there's no need to like keep you half awake in that for it. He's like, that's more of like when they're doing the replacement surgery, just to make sure that that you can kind of like bend it once you're done. I'm like, okay. I'm like, that works for me. So that like eased me up a bit. And the dude's like, like, hey, what's your favorite type? You drink alcohol? I go, yeah. He's like, what's your favorite drink? I go, gin and tonic. He's like, all right, I'll have a gin and tonic for you later on. Watch. So we're sitting there like doing this whole thing. Now, what's funny is I had been talking to Carl the night before, and he told me like, yo, I've had 3 surgeries where they've put me under general anesthesia. He's like, yo, it is the best thing. He's like, it is like an on-off switch. He's like, you're there 1 minute, boom, you're out, boom, you wake up, and you don't know what the fuck happened. He's like, it's the best thing in the world. And I'm like, oh, okay. So I'm sitting there waiting, got the IV going and this and that. The guy comes back, like I see my doctor and all that. He's like, cool, operation should take probably about an hour. And he's like, and then after that, we'll have you in the recovery probably for a good like 20 minutes just to make sure you're like fully awake type of a thing. And then you should be able to go home. I'm like, all right, cool. The freaking anesthesiologist comes in with a fucking syringe about that big. It literally looked like it literally looked like if you looked at a little tube of like liquid silver, that's literally the size of the little syringe. Like it was tiny as fuck. And he's like, he comes walking up, he's like, your gin and tonic. And I'm like, okay. And he like puts it onto the edge of the IV, pushes it in. And he's like, all right, so you're gonna feel like a little burning sensation in your hand, kind of like, and then it'll hit you. And I'm like, okay. He reaches up and squeezes the IV bag. And literally, like, because I had my IV right in my hand, I literally felt like my hand up to this part of my arm was just like on fire. I was like, holy crap. And literally, as I'm right about to say, oh shit, I feel it. Yo, this thing hit me. And bro, the whole fucking room kind of like, dude, it felt like I drank 10 gin and tonics all at one time and they hit me all at the same time. And I know, because my wife sat there and told me, I sat there and I was just like, and I remember this, I was like, damn, doc. It's like, yo, you make one hell of a cocktail. I'm like, you need to be giving this shit to everybody. And I remember hearing my wife laughing her ass off as I'm saying this. And she's like, is it good? And I'm like, hell yeah. So as this is happening, they're telling her, all right, cool, you can go wait in the waiting room. And they wheel me off. I remember going into the operating room. Like the whole, like how long the trip took to get to the operating room, don't remember. Like I kind of, sort of, but don't remember. I remember getting to the operating room. They're like, all right, we're going to move you onto the main operating table. They put me on. They put a pillow underneath my head. They're like, you're comfortable? I'm like, I'm good. I could have been uncomfortable. I wouldn't have known. So the anesthesiologist comes up, puts a mask on me. He's like, all right, what we're going to do, he's like, I'm going to, and it already had like oxygen going. He's like, we're going to give you just straight up oxygen. He's like, I want you to take like 2 deep breathfuls, and then I'm going to start introducing the gas, and then you should go just right out. And I'm like, all right, cool. So he's like, all right, cool. Take 2 deep breaths for me. I took the 2 deep breaths, and it was good. Like it was as if like, if you've ever had a problem like breathing or whatever, like and gotten pure oxygen, it is like the most amazing thing, because it's just like, wow, like you feel like your lungs are just like, you feel like so awake. I took those 2 deep breaths, and literally the last thing I remember was hearing him say, okay, I'm going to, and I was out. Which I'm pretty sure he was saying, okay, I'm going to introduce the gas. All I heard was, okay, I'm going to. Next thing I know, boop, lights out. Next thing I know, I open my eyes, and I'm like laying there, and I'm looking around like, where the hell am I? And then like I look and I'm like, okay, this isn't the same room I was in. And nurse comes over, she says, oh, hey, you're awake. And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, all right, surgery went really well, and this and that. And she uncovered my leg, and I could see it was all like bandaged up and shit. Like it was wrapped in an ace bandage and all that. She's like, yeah, it went all really good and this and that. Just relax here for a little bit and this and that. And I'm sitting there, you know, they had me in a room. My wife came over and this and that. And then they're like, I think the funniest thing, once I was like a bit more awake, they sit there and tell me, okay, whatever you do not make any very important decisions for at least 24 hours. And I'm like, oh, so no going out and buying a house then. And she's like, yeah, you don't want to do that under anesthesia.
No choosing your epic weapon.
Yeah. But holy crap, dude. Like, Carl was right. When he's like, it's an on-off switch, yo, it's a fucking on-off switch. Like, out. And when I mean out, I didn't see no, like, gradually fading out as if you're passing. No, it was just like, hey, I'm here, boop, not. It's like everybody turned off all the lights in the place. And, bro, when I woke up, I was like, God damn, dude, that's some good shit. Oh.
And then you had free time for WoW. So
yeah, it all worked out. I'm leveling up my monk.
I'll tell you, if they allowed you to just play WoW while they're working on the surgery, you'd probably be fine. They just give you enough numbing agents so you don't feel anything, give you a keyboard, and then put the monitor up so you could just lay back and play.
And lay back and just be sitting there. Just all right.
You wouldn't even notice.
Yeah, you wouldn't even notice.
They'd be like, "Oh, we nicked in the artery. It's all right. Are my arms and hands working? Yeah, all right, cool. Just do what you need to do.
Keep going, Doc. That's all right.
You can fix it still working?
Just pinch the bitch and keep going. Oh man, oh, you gotta go. You gotta get ready for work.
That's right. Unfortunately, this don't pay enough bills. Y'all need to kick in some more money.
Yeah.
So y'all need to do that. But you know what? We're gonna keep doing the show for you and for us because we like doing this shit.
This is fun.
It is definitely fun. So we're gonna be back with another show very soon. We gotta play more WoW too because we gotta get on that app. Damn you, WoW, for that damn app.
Speaking of which, hold on. got pull the phone.
Yeah, I gotta get to my phone too because I play that at work. There's people at work that's doing the Pokemon. It's funny because we have people at our work who brings the Pokemon app and they'll be like, oh, we're doing it for our kids. And I'm like, right. And they'll be walking around work. They'll go outside work because there's a Pokestop by our work. And then they'll be like, oh, we're just doing this for our children. And they're good at it now. They know what the Pokemon, how to use the raspberries to make sure that they can seduce or whatever the Pokemon, throw the Pokeballs, get the Pokestop. I'm like, man,
kids
I don't know.
My ass.
Yeah, kids, exactly. So then we have some more people who play WoW. I mean, all these people in their 30s, some in their 40s. So these aren't young people. And I'm like, man, we got half the people using the WoW app, half the people using the Pokemon app. It's a brave new world out here, people. Gaming. We take it over. All right. So I'm telling you, it's great. But we're going to be back for another show very soon. I'm JA's Randy. So we're going to be back. All right. So remember, you like what we're doing? Don't get offended, because if you do, you don't get the show. Ain't that right, Randy?
That's right. Fuck it.
Peace out.
Peace out.